Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the Oscar-winning 1942 film Holiday Inn. So Bing Crosby sings White Christmas in this film. He won an Oscar for original song for this film. He first, and I just looked up the trivia for this because I didn't actually know the trivia for White Christmas when we were talking about White Christmas, the film, which is a 1954 film starring Bing Crosby singing White Christmas. He sang in 1941 on a radio show, on his radio show, he sang White Christmas. And then 7 months later, this film came out, or something like that, where he then won an Oscar for this. And he was also the first presenter to win an award, like presenting. So he was announcing Best Original Song, and he won Best Original Song. So it's not a camera pan to, audience kind of a thing. He himself won it. I don't think they actually televised the Oscars until 50s or 60s or something like that. TVs obviously weren't a thing in the 40s. I don't know the technological history of radio to TV. I know it was the 50s. I just don't know when specifically in the 50s. Anywho, another fun fact that I learned from this, the set that they used for this inn is the same exact set they use for the 12 years later in the 1954 film White Christmas, which Bing Crosby is also starring in, also singing White Christmas. So it's just neat having to use the same, deciding to use the same set. You already have a functional set. Why not use it again in another film? So I should have watched this first, now that I think about it, but I didn't know that there was an actual connection between White Christmas and 1954's White Christmas and 1942's Holiday Inn. I didn't know that. So this is just another song and dance film. Fred Astaire's in this as well. A bunch of other people are in this. Business partners then decide to call it quits. One still does show business. One wants to open an inn, but only have it open on the holidays. That's the gimmick of this. So it's 15 days a year. He'll have his shows and have people stay at the inn, and then that's it. The rest of the time he can just work on the farm. Bing's character. And then stuff happens, and then they want to make a movie of that, and it's just funny watching a movie being made of the movie you're watching. It's very meta in that sense. I enjoyed the film aspect of it, how a film was made in the 40s. Other fun fact, the snow that they used in this production is pure asbestos. So a thing from the 1939 Wizard of Oz film is that the snow that they use in the poppy field scene is asbestos. We know, 80, 90 years later, that asbestos is not good for you. They did not know that back then. So watching this then, from an anthropological standpoint, difference between archaeology and anthropology. Archaeology is when you're digging up, artifacts. Here's a fork, and here's the plate, and this is the treasures that they saved in this treasure chest, right? Archaeology, we're going to dig for treasure. Indiana Jones was an archaeologist. So you then have anthropology, which is more the study of people, how they actually lived, stuff like that. That's what's interesting about uncovering more layers and layers of Pompeii, because yes, technically it is archaeology when you're digging in the past to then find the treasures, but you're also digging from an anthropologic standpoint, because, like, for instance, they uncovered this bakery and all this petrified bread was still there and like stuff, right? So like you're learning that, like, the bread is not considered the gold treasure. Obviously, that's not treasure, but it's treasure in a learning aspect. So archaeology versus anthropology. From an anthropological standpoint, watching this film, it's very disturbing watching an entire scene in blackface. Very disturbing. I was not comfortable watching it at all. I've never seen this film. Didn't know it existed. Didn't know the blackface scene existed. What is blackface? Blackface is when a white actor puts brown or dark brown makeup on their face, neck, covering all the peach color skin that we have. And so back in the day, a lot of black actors were not allowed to act. There was segregation still in effect until the 60s. There was horrible Jim Crow laws. There was sundown laws. It was awful. Awful. Amazing seeing how much progress we've had since then in the past 80 years since this film came out. But, and the other flip side of how much more progress there still has to be made in order for the whole Pledge of Allegiance with liberty and justice for all, will we ever get there? That's the wonderful question. So this particular scene has all of the main cast, all of the background actors, all of the band, everybody's in blackface. and they're all pretending to be these hillbilly kind of southern black folk, and it's just an uncomfortable watching experience, because in the back of my mind I have Queen Latifah singing "I Know Where I've Been" from Hairspray, and it's gross and it's not fair, and I don't like at all how they treated the two little black kids in this film as props. It was not just stereotypical props. It was something I can't overlook, and it's just disgusting. It's repugnant how one particular colored skin class of people decides this is how we're going to treat other individuals. I don't understand it. We're all red on the inside. I don't understand why the outside has to be such a difference. I don't get it. I've never gotten it. I still don't understand why people are so ignorant. And watching something that was made 82 years ago, it's just disturbing. But I was trying to watch it from an anthropological standpoint. This is what people did back then. This is what they used as a form of entertainment back then. This is what they did. Some people have a show that could be just interpretive dance. Some people have drag, guys wearing makeup and women's clothing, right? They're dressed in drag, right? That's a form of entertainment. Blackface was a form of entertainment, and I don't like it. It's not something to be celebrated. Obviously, we've been bashing the hell out of it since then. You're canceling everybody now. Anything that pops up in regards to, past blackface and all these things in a means that you intended to celebrate is just something that should have never been. So it's just an uncomfortable watching experience from a human perspective who has actual feelings and empathy. But I was trying my hardest to watch it from an anthropological standpoint. This is what individuals did back then as a form of entertainment. I do not agree at all with how they portrayed the entertainment at all. Laws should not have been as they were. If you wanted to have somebody mimic somebody else's ethnicity on the screen, hire that ethnicity. What was it? A few different, this is why I don't like the Oscars. One white guy won an Oscar for playing an Asian guy or something like that. And I'm like, excuse me, what? Like this was back in the day. And I'm like, just hire the Asian actor then? But no, Asian actors can't work with a white actor. That's against the law. It was just, it doesn't make sense. And what was the thing with, so there was a black actress who won Best Actress in a show or something like that in a film, or supporting actress in a film back in the day when those segregation laws were still in effect, and she wasn't allowed to be in the same theater as the rest of the white people because segregation was a thing, and she had to receive her award in the back kitchen or something like that. And I'm like, how disgusting are we as humans? How disgusting are we as humans? It's disgusting. So it's unfortunate that when you watch something that so many people consider nostalgic and wonderful and glorious, it's gross. I did not enjoy watching this film. The music was fine, but that 6 to 10 minute blackface scene of singing and dancing and mocking, it was just so awkward and uncomfortable watching it for someone who celebrates different cultures and actively watches movies not in English. So it's weird. It was just a weird, uncomfortable experience watching this. I appreciate the anthropological aspect, the learning aspect. We learn from the past, which got us to the present, and what we decide happens in the present dictates how the future can be. Not will be, can be. Because there's various paths on how the future can wind up from this one particular moment. What happens next? Well, that's the adventure. Am I going to snap my right hand finger or my left hand finger? Am I going to go on this path? Am I going to go on that path? it's various paths leading to the future, but it's all progressing forward. So, how is the country going to be on the 100th anniversary of this film in 2042? How is the country going to be compared to the atrocities of humanity as we were back in 1942? What's the progress, benefit? Will we have liberty and justice for all come 2042, the 100th anniversary of this film? Let's see. I hope. Time's a ticking. Let's see if the planet's still functioning by then for housing humans. We'll see. Holiday Inn, 1942. Classic film. On to the next review. Which mahalo.